franchising A to C. Today is April 4, 2022. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. By us, we mean, of course, my company employees who also are here for you if ever you need them, RK Franchise Consultancy, and me, myself, Rudolf Kotik. And I start with my introduction to myself. I was born originally in Vienna, Austria, and I am an HRM graduate. And the moment I graduated from HRM, I was hired by a very big multinational food company who started the franchise division in Europe at that time. I was with that giant for 6 years. I made my career in franchising. And then I joined a very big hotel chain as a director for franchising in Europe. Then I joined a development company from the US and came in 1995 to the Philippines and founded RK Franchise Consultancy. And in the meantime, we developed more than 900 Filipino companies into franchise systems. So here we have some of them. So we have from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, food and non-food companies as well. All right. So we also the creator of a web portal, franchise.ph, where you can see the opportunities. We also the organizer of the Cebu Franchise Expo since the year 2000. It will be again this year in September. And then the Mindanao Franchise Expo this year, the 17th Mindanao Franchise Expo, will be in October. Both virtual and Cebu will also be face-to-face. We also have a magazine, Franchising PH magazine. You can also read it online as franchising.ph. Please note also that this presentation is copyrighted, and any use of the slides and the content without written permission of the copyright owner, which is me, Rudolf Kotik, and my company, RK Franchise Consultancy Inc., is not allowed. All right? So if you want to use them, ask us. So let's talk about the history of franchising, when it all started. It goes back, way back to 1860, when the Singer Company started granting distribution franchises for the sewing machines. And the Singer Company was the first company actually who used a written franchise agreement for executing franchises. Then in 1880, we had utility franchises coming up. In the around 1900, the automobile industry started and the petroleum industry started. So they went into franchising. 1921, the first food franchise, an American burger chain called White Castle, has nothing to do with the White Castle Filipino steak in the fluid version. White Castle is still in business in the US until today, under franchising as well. And the way we franchise today was created 1950 already. So it's already 70 plus years old also. And that's what we call business format franchising. And 99% of all franchises are business format franchises. Now in the Philippines, it also started the Singer Company in 1910. 1981, McDonald's started. 1984, Jollibee started. 1995, RK started, first in Cebu, and since 1999 in Manila. And by 1997, we were hit by the Asian crisis, and that was actually the start of the local franchise industry. Because until 1997, before the Asian crisis, all franchises were foreign brands who came to the Philippines. Then, when the Asian crisis hit us, the dollar went from 20 to 40 and 50. Therefore, the local companies became in demand. So it was actually a crisis, which was a very good effect for the Philippine franchise industry. And actually the crisis, the Asian crisis, which was a financial crisis, really kick-started it to what it is today. And by today, 2022, we have 1,800 franchise companies on the market, 250 are foreign. Majority, of course, is local today, and our clients among the 1,650 or so, 900 are our clients. So how does franchising fare in demand and supply? This is actually pre-pandemic, and I think it will go back to the same figures soon again. 60% is food, restaurants, cafe, carts, and kiosks. During the pandemic, it actually increased to 95%. But I'm sure it will go down again because the vanity sector was very much hit during the pandemic. So the salons, the spas, all the beauty salons, etc. Health sector is a growing factor also, drugstores, laboratories, etc. And 5% is retail. When we started way back 23 years ago, retail was number one. What happened to them, especially at TW, they did not grow compared to the food or the other sectors. So their share on demand and supply fell down to 5% right now. 4% around business services, franchises, anything B2B. Education was since ever a good franchise opportunity. And today, practically anything under the sun is franchisable. So let's talk about the business format franchising, which is a type of licensing arrangement for the distribution of services and products between the two parties, the franchisor with the OR at the end, who sells the franchise, and the franchisee with a double E at the end, who buys the franchise. So the franchise allows the franchisee to use the business system, trademarks, and corporate identity for the length of the franchise agreement. And the franchisee purchases the experience, the expertise, and method of doing business, and does not have to go through the pain of a new startup company. All right, so this is what I will explain you now. So, first of all, generally about franchising. Each franchisee is legally independent from all the other franchisees and also from the franchisor. Meaning to say, every franchisee has to get their own TTI, has to get their own mayor's permit, has to get their own BR registration. All right? The franchisor controls also products and services that the franchisee are permitted to sell. So a franchisee cannot just add a product or a service. They cannot just take out something because they don't like it or for whatever purpose. So whatever is in the program of the franchisor is also in the program of the franchisees. While we say the franchisor controls the operating assets, goods, and services utilized by the franchisee through the procurement program. That means while the franchisee has to invest in whatever is necessary to open a franchise outlet, it's controlled by the franchisor in what the franchisee will invest into. Okay, what kind of equipment, what kind of raw materials, what kind of supplies or merchandise they have to purchase. We also talk usually of a grant of exclusive or protected territory around the franchise facility. So there's always a radius around the franchise facility where we don't allow any other franchise company or company-owned outlet to be established. That radius can be very small if it's a convenience store or a bake shop, maybe only 500 meters or so. This can expand if it is something what has more to do with vehicles, for example. That can also be the mall. If it's mall-based, the mall itself can become a territory. All right. Beside of that, of course, we also talk of area franchise and master franchise. I will explain you that as well, what we are talking there about. All right. So Beside of that, also in franchising, we talk of an exclusive relationship, meaning franchisee is not allowed to have any similar business as the franchisor. Okay, a franchisee can have any kind of business. We don't really care, but you cannot have anything which would compete with the franchisor. All right, that's very important. And also, every franchisee has to secure their own location. Then, of course, franchisor will approve it. So, what does a franchise provide? What do you get when you buy a franchise? First of all, the system standards, the way the franchisor is operating. There's no difference in the operation between a franchisor and his franchisees. So if you as a consumer go into a store, you should not be able to find out if that is a company store or a franchise store. Same procedures, all right? Second, the use of the trademark. I'll explain you what a trademark is later. Third, the operations manual. I'll explain you that also. Every franchisor has to provide an extensive operations manual to their franchisees. Training per se is part of the franchise fee. What does this mean? If you buy a franchise and, for example, out of town, transportation and lodging is not part of the franchise fee, but providing the training per se is part of the franchise fee. All right, and the initial training. So in case the franchisee changes after 5 months, all his staff and needs retraining by the franchisor can charge for that. All right. And then, of course, the experience and the wisdom of the franchisor, since the franchisor is already in that business for quite some time and beyond this trial and error stage already. So therefore, he has already quite probably experience and some wisdom in the running of the business. Then the site selection assistance. That means the franchisor will tell the applicant of what type of franchises he should be looking for. All right. How many square meters? What's the frontage? What are certain particulars about the location or about the traffic in front of it? Then, of course, the construction supervision. This is in particular for companies who have bigger construction sites. Among my clients, like who have in-house architects to look after all the locations, it's like National Bookstore or Felix Petroleum or Cherry's Grill. Then once the franchisee found the location, of course, the franchisor has to either approve it or disapprove it before they actually can go into the construction. And also the store layout is provided by the franchisor, which has to be adapted to the needs of the franchisee by the franchisee's contractor, but with the approval of the franchisor. Nothing goes without the approval of the franchisor, all right? And of course, what I already explained you, the exclusive territory, the radius around the franchised facility, where the franchisee is located. Then the procurement programs. The procurement programs are the list of the authorized suppliers and supplies from where a franchisee has to purchase. He cannot just buy his items, what he needs anywhere. That's regulated by franchisors, either regulated through the supplies or the suppliers, all right? Then also very important that the franchisor is providing the franchisees opening assistance, meaning when they start the operation, representative from the franchisor will be with the franchisee to help them start up the business, okay? If that is outside the city, let's say like it requires a plane ticket and a hotel accommodation for the person who provides the opening assistance, that is at the expense of the franchisee. Now, how long does the training first and then the opening assistance second take? That depends on how complex the business is. But usually, if it's a cart or kiosk, training might be only 5 days, and also the opening assistance might only need 3 to 5 days. If it's something store-based, training could be easily a month, and the opening assistance could be usually something like 2 to 4 weeks. When we talk of marketing strategies, any kind of strategy the franchisor is doing to promote the business, the brand, the products, the franchisee is allowed to do as well. By effective field service, we understand two things. First of all, the franchisee has the right to contact the franchisor anytime they need help. No big deal. Everybody has cell phone. We all have apps. So communication today is not a challenge. Second, the franchisor also has to regularly visit the franchise outlets, okay? And then, of course, also the franchisor is in charge for research and development of new products, of new schemes, of new marketing measures, of new equipment, etc., etc. All right, let's talk about the trademark. What is a trademark? You see, if you have a TTI registration or a SEC registration, that is not enough to be a franchisor. You need a trademark. Your logo has to be registered with the Intellectual Property Office. So a trademark is used to differentiate goods and services which can be expressed in one word, a group of words, and services. A sign, a symbol, a logo, a 3D container like the Coca-Cola bottle, or a combination of these. A mark is any visible sign capable of distinguishing the goods or services of an enterprise, and shall include a stamped or marked container of goods. In other words, a signage, and is valid for 10 years. I give you examples of trademarks. So it can be a word mark, so the word, let's say like Jollibee. It can be a symbol like the head of Jollibee. And it can also be a combination of a word mark, a symbol, and a slogan as well. Like Mercury Drug has a slogan, Siguro, Kamot, Laging Bago. And Meralco has a combination of the slogan, the symbol, and the word mark. So this can also be registered as a trademark. All right. So let's go on. What are the benefits of buying a franchise? First of all, you receive a proven profitable system for doing business. Second, the name recall, the branding. Everybody starts on the local level. Eventually, they become a regional brand. Then they become a national brand. And a lot of them end up outside the Philippines. Among our clients, almost 40 of them have already franchises outside the Philippines. All right? But everybody starts on the local level. As long as the franchisor is still on the local level, it's also the cheapest to buy a franchise. The stronger the brand, the higher the franchise fee. All right? Of course, it's less a risk to start the franchise business than if you would do it all by yourself, because it's already proven profitable. You gain advice. In a franchise system, you're never alone. There's always the franchisor whom you can ask, the fellow franchisees. You can also ask the consultant, especially if it's our client. And of course, because you're getting the training, the manuals, the opening assistance, all the assistance from a franchisor, you can start up much faster than if you would do it all by yourself. So what are the pitfalls of a franchise? If you're the franchisee of a franchise system which is not professionally developed, Unfortunately, some people try to do their own franchise development, and usually they fail. And these are the horror stories what you hear about franchising in the media or in Facebook, etc. Signing with a franchisor who does not offer proper training or has no operations manual. Again, same as the first above. If it's not properly done, it will end up in chaos. And also, if the franchisor does not have a trademark for his business, because if he has no trademark, whoever has the trademark can harass the franchisees for trademark infringement. So make sure if you buy a franchise that your franchisor has a trademark. Then the legitimate drawbacks, of course, payment of fees. Not everybody likes to part with the money. So if you don't want to pay for a franchise, then you have to do your own, no choice. And also the franchisee is forced to buy from the sources of the franchisor. So you have no choice there also. And of course, you have to respect the norms to the concept, the quality standards, the obligation to follow the operational standards. So if you have a problem following other people's procedures, better don't get a franchise, especially if you're an egocentric personality. If you're an egocentric personality, don't buy a franchise. Do your own thing. All right? You will be better off with that. How to select a franchise? First of all, examine the opportunities. As we said earlier, we have 1,800 franchise companies in the Philippines. We have more because of the scammers. Second, cost of investment. A franchise costs money. Nobody gives you a franchise because you are cute. So you need an investment. There are some banks today already who give loans for franchising, PPI, Union Bank, etc., whom you could approach if you want to. Very important is that you like what you want to do. All right, you don't have to be an expert. Don't be afraid to get a franchise because you don't know what the procedure goes initially. All right, I tell you, 99% of all restaurant franchise owners only know how to eat. They don't know how to cook, and that's perfectly fine. All right, but you have to be interested in food if you want to get a restaurant franchise. More important is that you are on the right location with your franchise. Location is very important to a lot of franchises as well. Okay, so make sure you are on the right location with your business. There are some franchisors who say we are that strong, our brand is so strong we can be anywhere. Not true. If you're in a dead location, the location is dead, no matter who's the brand. Okay. So if you have found something, what you're interested, check the background of the franchisor and the support the franchisor is giving. How you can do that? By checking with franchisees. All right. You can ask franchisees how they're doing with the brand. Ask several, not only one, so that you get a very uniform idea on how it works. And then you can analyze and evaluate before deciding. Now, franchising during the pandemic, luckily it looks like we're getting out of it already, but still, several franchisors give special discounted rates during the pandemic. All the application procedure is online, so you don't have to fly anywhere to get a franchise. You can do it online, and the meeting with the franchisor will be by Zoom. And landlords are easier to negotiate also because they have vacant locations right now. So it's also good to point to negotiate with them right now. All right. So how to detect a franchising scam? I would tell you honestly what you can see in Facebook, at least 70% of what is offered as a franchise are scams right now. The scammers are taking over practically. So if it's too good to be true and an unrealistic promise, if all contacts are cell phones only, they don't have a company address, they don't have a landline. If they want the money upfront before any agreements, the franchise contract is below, if the franchise contract is below 3 years in term, it's definitely a scam. If it's only 1 year or 2 years, okay? Serious franchises starts at 3 years. And also if the contract is only 2 pages or 3 pages or up to 9 pages, even very much a scam. A serious franchise agreement starts by at least 25 pages, the minimum, okay? And then also if they don't have a franchise disclosure information, this is required from the TTI. Every franchisor has to give to approved franchise applicants before they sign a franchise disclosure information. If they have no trademark, there are several scammers have already trademark also, okay, for their brands. If they're not a member of any of the 3 franchise associations, in the Philippines we have 3 associations in alphabetical order: AFI, FIFA, and PFA. If they are not in the member of any of the 3 associations, most likely it's a scam, because none of the association wants to have anything to do with the scammers. And also, no government agency helps if you get victimized, okay? We have a franchise check available from our association. You can email to info@franchiseassociation.biz if you want to franchise a certain brand, if it's known to us as legit or not. All right. Most franchisors request the franchisees to pay royalty. The royalty is used for the continuation use of the trademark, for the assistance by the franchisor, the availability of the franchisor in case the franchisee needs assistance, and it's always payable monthly and based on gross sales. Gross sales is total sales less tax like VAT, less delivery charges, less service fees for restaurants, and less senior citizen discounts. So how much do they have to pay? Normally drugstores have 0 to 3%. First of all, no royalty have the retail businesses, a lot of them, because they build it in the transfer price from the franchisor to the franchisee when they sell the merchandise, okay? So the drugstores have the lowest, 0 to 3%. Big shops, 2 to 4%. Food, generally 3 to 6, usually not more than that. Same with the restaurants. Education, relatively high, starting at 6%, but they're the only ones who have no renewal fee also, meaning to say all other franchises have a renewal fee once the contract expires and both parties agree on the renewal. But the education sector has no renewal fee. In exchange for that, they, of course, have a higher royalty. And also, of course, they get every year new curriculums. And fixed rate for service franchises, like the salon businesses, hair salon, nail salons, they all have fixed amounts regardless of sales. An advertisement, there are up to 4 schemes a franchisor has to participate with. First of all, the grand opening marketing, spent directly by franchisee for the initial awareness of the outlets, so that people will know in the barangay the franchisee is open. The local store marketing, 1 to 2% of gross sales spent by franchisee directly also. The co-op advertisement means if there are several franchisees who have a billboard, for example, together, all right? And the National Advertisement Fund. TV, radio, broadsheets, that's the only one which is really run by the franchisor, okay? And then all franchise and all company outlets have to pay into the pool. What are the mistakes of franchise buyers? Some franchisees believe They don't have to work anymore and just collect money. You can do that if it's a partnership, like a co-ownership franchise operated by the franchisor, then it's okay. Other than that, you better look after your investment, and the more hands-on you are, the better off you will be. So don't underestimate the requirements, what it means to be a franchisee. Don't expect too much also from the franchisor. And also some people want to make shortcuts in the construction. Usually they get caught and then spend actually more money in the end. Also, if you join a fad, the bandwagon, will not last long, and then you're out of business after probably 2 years. Also, a lot of Filipinos don't want to be the first franchisee, which is wrong. If you want to be the first franchisee, you have a lot of advantages. First of all, you're getting the TLC treatment, the tender life and care treatment of a franchisor, because you are his first baby, okay? And then also, if you're the first franchisee, they're always sold cheaper than if you're the 10th or the 50th franchisee. Okay, so you make more money being an early bird in a franchise system compared if you come later on. And if you don't compare only the franchise fees instead of the total investment through the years. So geographically, we have 3 types of franchises. First of all, the unit franchise, 3 to 15 years. Normally, in a store setup, it's at least 5 years. So 1 outlet, 1 contract. Then we have the area franchise. As the name says, area. We use that if you get a whole city or a whole province with a development program, meaning to say you need to open at least 3 outlets. Okay. The contract is also longer. So we're adding to the unit franchise time, we're adding the time of the development period. And then we have the master franchise. By the master franchise, we talk to the rights to a whole country. And there's no master franchise agreement below 10 years, all right? Most of them have between 15 to 25 years in length. I wrote here 99 years because some hotel franchises go as far as 99 years. All right. So that's the right to a whole country. And the franchisee has to follow a development program, and expansion will be allowed through sub-franchising or through third parties. By sub-franchising, we understand that the master franchisee for the country becomes the franchisor in that country and is then allowed to sell franchises to third parties. So what are the steps in purchasing a franchise? First of all, request for a franchise key. All right, any franchisor can email that to you today, no problem. Fill up the confidential questionnaire and send it to the franchisor with a letter of intent. The franchisor will meet with you and discuss the franchise details, today most likely on Zoom. Then you will be evaluated. Then either approved or disapproved, and you will receive the franchise disclosure information. Only if you're approved, you receive the franchise disclosure information. Then you send a MOA and you pay the administration fee. Then the franchise location is inspected and approved, or you apply the mall. So it really depends on if it's inside the mall or outside the mall. If it's outside the mall, it's relatively simple. You find the location, you show it to the franchisor, he approves it, and you can sign the franchise agreement. Inside a mall, it's a little bit more complicated. You cannot sign already the franchise agreement unless you have a location. So first of all, you sign the MOA, then you apply with the mall. The franchisor, of course, has to provide certain papers like menus or merchandise list or the design or the aesthetic design of the store or the kiosk or card. Now, you can only sign the franchise agreement for a mall once the mall gives you or the franchisor the lease offer. Because if they give you a lease offer, that means they approved your concept. Then you can sign a franchise agreement and pay the franchise fee. Then you can set up the facility, you can take your training, get your opening assistance, and you have a grand opening. So what does the franchise disclosure information include? Normally it's something like 40 to 75 pages. The company details, menu services, product lists, prices, the initial investment and the projected P&L, a copy of the trademark, a copy of the association membership, the list of companies and franchise outlets, and the legal files. So MOA and franchise agreement. So I took you through a franchise agreement in general, okay? Like for us, all our clients have a detailed franchise agreement which was really tailored to them. All right? So not two franchise agreements are the same, but they have the same topics. So I'll just explain the topics. The details are different from company to company. So let's talk about the topics. First of all, the appointment and the franchise fee. So how much you have to pay upon signing of the franchise agreement. Second is the term and the renewal. Very important that every franchise agreement has a renewal clause. Because if not, a franchisor and franchisee have to fight it out how they will proceed after the franchise agreement expired. In this case, there is no problem because it's already manifested in the contract that the franchisee can renew, provided he is updated with the training, is updated with the looks, he's updated with the payments. In other words, he's a good franchisee. If he's a good franchisee, he has the right to renew. If not, then there is no renewal. Then we talk about the facility location, the equipment, fixtures, and furnitures, the training, how many days and what's going on there, and the opening assistance by the franchisor. Then we talk about the proprietary marks. That's another word for the trademarks. We call them legally also proprietary marks because the trademarks are proprietary to the franchisor. Then the rules and regulations about the operations manual. In particular, if the franchisee loses the manual, he has to pay a fee for it. And of course, he's not allowed to duplicate it. He's not allowed to abuse it. Modification of the system means that the franchisee has to follow whatever the franchisor prescribes them. So in case they're adding a new product or they're adding new equipment or anything like that. So if anything is modified, franchisor will inform the franchisee and then they have to follow them. Then the rules of the advertisement, so whatever is included, not always all the procedures are included, like the grand opening marketing is usually standard, the local store marketing, then the co-op and the national advertisement fund for those ones who really want to go national. Then the rules about the royalty fee or the continuation fee if it's fixed. Then the rules about accounting records, particularly if there's a POS system involved. Then the standards of quality and performance, all what the franchisor expects from his franchisees to do. Then also the operating assistance by the franchisor to the franchisee. Then the rules about the insurance, the rules about the covenants. Covenants means the exclusivity. I told you earlier, franchisees are not allowed to compete with the franchisor. So that's the covenants clause. Then all the reasons why a franchisee can be in default and terminated, from not paying to not operating according to standard, etc., etc. All right. So all the reasons why they can be in default. First of all, we don't immediately terminate a franchisee. We have a process called curing. Curing means if the franchisee screws up something, the franchisor will send a notice to cure to the franchisee, whatever is screwed up, to give them time to straighten it out. If they straighten it out, then it's fine. Life goes on. If not, franchisor can take over and straighten it out. Worst case scenario, termination. So, and then we have the rights and duties of parties upon termination. So the franchisee, of course, is not allowed to continue that kind of business. He's also not allowed to use the location for something like that. And then the franchisor also has the rights to the signages because it's his trademarks. All right. Then we have a rule about transferability of interest. That means if the franchisee wants to sell his franchise, that's a possibility. But what he can sell is only the remaining of his balance. So he has to find his own buyer, and the buyer has to apply with the franchisor. And if the franchisor approves it, then there can be an arrangement made, a contract made between franchisor or franchisee and the purchaser to take over of the franchise. Also, if the franchisee dies or is incapacitated, then the heirs can take over or they can sell it in accordance to the transferability rule of the franchise. However, the franchisor always has the right of first refusal. All right. Then other legal agreements, we have the memorandum of agreement, the pre-contract, especially if it's for a shopping mall. Then the agreement with the landlord, which is outside the malls, agreement between landlord, franchise, and franchisee to secure the location for the franchisor in case the franchisee screws up with the landlord or with the franchisor. Then we have guaranteed assumption of obligation if the franchise is low capitalized or got it as a gift, and the transfer and release agreement in case the franchisee sells his business. So this is between franchisor, franchisee, and the buyer. Now, you may have a business and you might think of franchising it out. Is your business franchisable? If your business is in operation for at least 1 year, or is beyond the trial and error stage, or has achieved its payback period, if the business can be copied according to the systems, which is very important, okay? Has to be proven profitable, has credibility to its clients, and has to be the need of another business, in other places. What we generally say, we need two requirements. First of all, the franchisor has to be beyond the trial and error stage, and second, he has to be profitable. The rest, more or less, we can fix during the development. All right. We also do something called ground zero development. Ground zero means franchisor hasn't even opened yet. We help them already with the development, especially on the administrative side. And after a few months of opening, then we help them with the franchise side. Our biggest ground zero development so far was Phoenix Petroleum, wherein we started with them in Davao when there was no gasoline station from them. Okay, so don't franchise your business if you don't have a prototype. You need at least one outlet for 3 reasons. First of all, to show it off to prospectives, for the training, and also for the research and development. If your business is failing, if you sink and you start franchising, there's a big chance that your franchisees sink along with you. If it depends too much on yourself, you see, you have to be able to duplicate it. If the gross margins are very small, not compensated by high volume, if the products are a fad, because it might only last for 2 years or 3 years, if skill levels are too high that you cannot teach it in 3 months, or if you do the development by yourself instead of hiring a professional franchise consultant like RK Franchise Consultancy. So what are the advantages of being a franchisor? First of all, you receive franchise fees every time you sell a franchise. Long-term collection of royalty. And you also gain a little bit by selling to the franchise. And you can expand the brand at the speed you want to grow. We have franchisors who live in a shell. They don't want to get out of the island, particularly Mindanao. We have quite a number of franchisors in Mindanao who only want to franchise in Mindanao, not anywhere else. or maximum Visayas, but not Luzon. All right, and then we have others who want to conquer the world. That the same with the speed. We have clients who are happy to have a franchisee every 3 years. And we have clients who open every week one. So it really depends on the philosophy of the owners. And by opening, of course, you use OPM, other people's money, since the franchisee's money is involved in setting up the business. Of course, also is less a direct involvement in the operation, since the franchisee is doing the day-to-day operation of the stores. And if you want to sell the business, you can leveraging it on a recognized brand name. The stronger the brand, the more money you can ask for, which also enhances your business image if you're into franchising. And on the long run, it also ensures consistent quality, especially if you have a commissary operation, therefore attaining higher productivity, and you can use economy of scales, therefore also reducing risk of failures. And if your brand is strong, you get also access to very, very good locations. So if you want to have your business develop, this is what is necessary. We provide all of that to our clients. So first of all, we do a franchise structure. I do this personally for my clients, is we calculate franchise fees and royalties, the length of the franchise agreement, the investment package, the payback period, the space required, and also the logistics we discuss. Then we have a franchisor manual for all our clients. That's a guide on how you find franchisees, how you treat them, how you find them, how you select them, how you treat them, how you deal with them. And then the operations manual. Every operations manual, if it's done by us, is very detailed, probably something like minimum of 600 pages, and it's broken down into sub-manuals. First of all, the pre-opening manual, or what has to be done by the franchisee before they actually open the business. Second, the administrative manual about employees from hiring to firing, about the money. Third, the specialty manuals. Let's say like kitchen manual or production manual. Then the operating standard manual. Let's say like from opening to closing of the outlets. Then the training manuals and foreman reports. And today also, of course, a COVID-19 manual. Then on the legal aspect, franchise agreement, memorandum of agreement, agreement with the landlord, guarantees, transfer area, master franchise agreements. We prepare something, depends on the company, between 5 to 20 contracts. So that everything is covered, what might be needed from the legal side for a franchisor. Then the franchise marketing, we have a in-house graphic department, and they will prepare the franchise brochure, a franchise marketing kit, a franchise website also. We make a specific website for franchise.ph, which is our web portal. All our clients are hung there. And then, of course, also the franchise disclosure information as required by the TTI in Bureau Order 1024 from 2010. And in our case, we give still other assistance also, like securing in the trademark. We have assistance in marketing, also with the applicants, the first applicants. We help out our clients. All our developments are FIFA members. We have lifelong after service, free. We feature our clients in franchise.ph and in our magazine. Also our provincial clients, we give them office assistance if they have meetings in Manila. And every year, we have yearly membership meeting. We had our last on March 30, where all our clients attend. Now, of course, we're doing it right now on Zoom. So we were talking about business format franchising, and these are alternative business formats to business format franchising. First of all, the licensing arrangement. We use that one if it's only transfer of technology, if it's limited to a certain task or way of doing business. When it comes to gasoline station or car businesses, we also set them up like a franchise, but legally they become a dealership. And then when it comes to distributorship, which is relatively different, but we also prepare those for some of our clients, usually in a two-level arrangement, a distributor level and the reseller level. And the future of franchising is actually very, very bright. Franchising is definitely not a fad. Over 150 years practice as business system. Every year, 100 franchisors are added in the Philippines. Definitely great for any company to expand the business. Best way to expand is through franchising. And if you have money to invest, buy a franchise. Safest way to invest your money. So if you're interested, if you have a company and you want to have it professionally developed, please get in touch with us, RK Franchise Consultancy, and we prepare everything what you need, from structuring of the franchise, operations manuals, and marketing materials to franchise contracts, inside agreements, to franchise disclosure, franchisor manual, also international franchising. And you can become, of course, a FIFA member, and you get long-term assistance. And you can call us at 8912-2946 in Manila, 8912-2973, or Globe 0917-874-3620, or Sun 0933-864-2552. Now, again, here our contact 0917-874-3620, 0933-864-2552, landline 8912-2946, 8912-2973. If you're listening from abroad, and WhatsApp 63917-321-5235, or email rk@rkfranchise.com. You can also get in touch with us on our social media. In Facebook, we are RK Franchise Consultancy. In Instagram, we are RK Franchise. In Twitter, we are RK Franchise. And in YouTube, we have a channel, RK Franchise. So you can see a lot of information there. And of course, our magazine, you can see all of them in our magazine, franchising.ph or franchisingpage.com, same. Or our web portal, franchise.ph. If you need a trademark, you can get in touch with us, with Mr. Sokri Malaco, is our trademark specialist in the office, 8911-1966, or 0933-864-2553, or 0917-864-9329. So he's in charge for the trademarks. We also have another company, or GoFront, where we do distribution setups. So distributor structure, marketing, flyers, contracts, manuals, etc. So you can get in touch with us at Manila 8736-6940 or 0926-231-8080. If you listen to us from abroad, our international franchise development company is Franmundo. We develop franchises in 35 countries all around the world, and you can take a look at it at franmundo.com. Of course, if you develop RK Franchise Consultancy, you become a member automatically of FIFA, Filipino International Franchise Association. But you can also become a member if you're not an RK client, provided you are approved as a member. And it has a lot of advantages for companies being a member. Now, my next seminar like this one will be on May 5 at 5 p.m. and June 6 at 6 p.m. For our next seminars. And you can also read our magazine, franchising.ph. This is the April 2022 issue of franchising.ph. And of course, you can also look at our YouTube channel, RK Franchise, for the franchise hours. We have a weekly program every Thursday at 4 p.m., except this Thursday and next Thursday, because we have a break, Lenten break in the franchise hour. But the Thursday after, we have again a guest with us to discuss about franchising and the opportunity. That's happening every Thursday on Facebook, in our Facebook channels. And if you want to see all of them, there are around more than 60 of these franchise hours, what we did in the last year. You can see them all on our YouTube channel, RK Franchise. All right, so I would like to thank you for